Hi, we are live. Welcome to a new Leadership Playbook, Evolved Leadership. I'm Keshawn Hughes. I'm here with my partner, Natalie Jobity, and we are so excited to connect with you today.
Yeah, this series is something that we both are so excited and passionate about. And this particular topic of evolved leadership kind of came out of our last series 2 weeks, not our last series, our last episode 2 weeks ago. And it just flows so naturally into both of our strengths and our expertise. And so we can't wait to dive into that.
Yes, I'm excited. Even the title, because things just come about as we're connecting and talking, and then I wanted to check in with you about what this would be about from your perspective. And I was thinking, ooh, evolve leadership. This is calling people forward, calling people up. This is it. This can feel
Yes.
like a lot. Or people might feel ready for this. Maybe this is something that people are already stepping into, already experiencing, and just want to have some alignment with some confirmation as they're on this journey. So I'm excited to see where this goes.
I love that you put it like that, and I think you're absolutely right, Kishan. I think it's that there is an acceleration in the
Mm,
ethos this year, especially, and I believe
yes.
that a lot of us are feeling called to greater, more, higher, better, improved, evolved, whatever word, but evolved. I feel like it just embodies that idea of wiser, more fully integrated. So we will get into more aspects of that, but I do believe it's the time. It's your time to shine. I'm sorry. It's our time to shine as
Yes.
people, as women.
Yes.
Of course, my book is called "It's Your Time to Shine, Girl." But yeah, I believe it's about the time to step into the bigger, the better, the greater
Ooh.
that we were always meant to be, and
Mm.
to believe that it's possible.
Bigger, better, greater, and what we're always meant to be. Oh, that gives me so many ideas. But before I dive deeply into that, I just wanted to talk about my organization, allow you a chance, of course, to say what your expertise in organization is. I founded Neuro Leadership. I'm a certified neuro coach and neuro leadership consultant. And through my organization, I help individuals and organizations to level up, to feel more powerful and influential, and generating the best impact possible through their leadership, whether they are mid level managers, people managers, individual contributors, executives. We've helped so many different types of leaders and organizations to show up as their most authentic selves, to break out from burnout, to lead more inclusively, to focus and found themselves in the way that they speak and move through their leadership in well being and health, and then of course to be more confident. That's something that comes up all the
Mm,
time. So I feel like we'll touch on that today: leadership, confidence, and influence as an evolved
mm.
leader. So that's me in neurosavvy leadership.
Yes, wow, that's all. So I love it. I mean, it's very aligned with so my company is the Unveiled Way. Very interesting name, but it's one that was actually poured into me. And I'm getting more clarity about what it actually means. Every year goes by, I'm like, oh, okay, this is not a coincidence. It's really meant to be the Unveiled Way.
Yeah.
And it's about, I am passionate to help and elevate women. I work with a few good men, of course, too, but just this passion that I had from when I had a business as an image consultant to
Mm.
empower women to bring their best selves. Now it's about the inner, bringing the inner brilliance outer, and that is all about the impact they're meant to have and designed and uniquely designed to make, and to be able to lead with the confidence that helps them lead unapologetically. I love that word,
Me too.
unapologetically, in their arena, in their domain, and wherever they're meant, where their petri dish, as I sometimes like to say. And I work with executives, seasoned executives, and entrepreneurs. A lot of times, some executive women are in that transitional place where they're thinking of doing their own thing, and they're ready to build and create their own thing, and they need that guide, that coach, that champion, and that's the role I love to play. It's a role that naturally comes to me. And I also am a certified coach, but I like to say I'm an out of the box certified coach because I use so many gifts in my containers. And yeah, so I just bring my full self. I allow my clients to bring their full selves, and we just take it to levels that we cannot even imagine when we start. And that's what makes me so fulfilled in what I do.
Oh my gosh, that made me just have I'm raising my hand like, I'm like, that just hit me because as in preparing for this conversation today, that is what got me excited. Thinking about the evolution that I have been honored to witness in my clients, my one-on-one coaching clients. It is the best feeling for me.
Yes.
I'm so glad that I have pivoted into this profession, into this realm that I didn't even know existed 5-10 years ago. And have that's what it is. Witnessing someone's progression, their aha moments, their growth, their transformation, their navigation through very difficult challenges.
Yes. Because there's life, there's leadership, but there's life in all of it, and it's navigating the life as you lead, as you be the best version of yourself. And yes, it's about transformation, Keshawn. It's why I changed this year to calling myself transformational, because I realized the heart of what I'm doing is it's about that shift that is needed to bring the best version of that person, that woman, out so that she can lead with the greatest impact that she is meant to. Because without that leveled up being, that evolved leader being, the impact is not as impactful as it can be, right? It's not as transformational.
Yes.
Or it can be negative, it can be distorted, it can be all kinds of things. So my hope, my goal, my wish, and my legacy in all of it, and I feel like this is the legacy of seeing the transformational and the results. And it's not metric results, it's personal, the personal growth, the personal development, the professional development that comes out of doing the work to work on yourself, to be unveiled so that you can bring the best, highest, finest version of yourself to your domain.
Ooh, okay. So you mentioned shift, and I thought about fear. Whenever I hear the word transformation, I just think of the very human experience of being afraid of change, the fear that comes up. And so is there, from your perception, when it comes to evolved leadership, a connection between feeling fear, experiencing real fear, and the shift that has to take place to transform and evolve?
Wow, Keshawn. I think that's a really great point. Fear is absolutely part of the equation. And sometimes the fear can be the obstacle that prevents the person from stepping into their greatness, into that evolved state. Other times the fear can be the propellant. It can be I am so uncomfortable, but I just know that I am meant for more. I want to do this thing, even though I'm scared, terrified, I'm not know what's going to happen. I'm going to let all that go and trust. So some of the things we're talking about, the trusting, the letting go, the knowing that, or the vision of there is so much more that is possible. And a lot of times our mindsets can stop us from seeing the full gamut of what is possible within our hands, within our abilities. So back to that fear, Keshawn, the fear can be the obstacle, the propellant, I believe, and the fear can derail. A lot of times it's the fear that makes a potential prospect not move forward, even though they know they need it and they want it, but they're scared. They're scared because it's unfamiliar, it's uncomfortable, it can be terrifying even. But it's like, but at some point, I know in my own journey, I had to go past, navigate through the fear of I don't know what's on the other side, and not even knowing what would happen, but trusting that I didn't have any other option because going back or staying the same was no longer the option.
Oh gosh, okay. I'm thinking about the neuroscience of fear, and what I help people understand through trainings and coaching is the commonality in the human experience of the fight, flight, freeze response. And so fear is in the mind, it's in our thinking, it is the obstacle. It can also be the propellant when we connect with the body. So there's a mind-body connection. So as we're feeling fear, as we're experiencing it, the physiological experience of fear when we are in fight, the aggression, the defensiveness.
Yeah, the armoring up.
Oh, I love that. I love that term, particularly as it relates to people of color. As a Black woman, wearing that armor, going into every environment and being unconscious of it when it's on me, when it's definitely showing up, or worrying, overthinking, analysis paralysis, procrastination. These are ways that fight, flight, freeze show up, or even a fawn response, which comes up when people just are going to obedience. Just tell me what to do. You as a coach, can you just tell me what to do? Can you just tell me how to evolve? Just give me the play by play, or whatever that person you deemed as the God. Yes, to tell you, like, just tell me what to do and I'll obey, as opposed to being in your power, standing in your power, and trusting that the answers are within you.
Exactly.
To move forward in the way that you should go.
Yes, absolutely. So I think let's talk about some of the tenets of what this evolved leadership looks like. And I think we kind of touched on one a little bit earlier, and we touched on it last episode. We talked about trust in self, trust in the process, trust in the other persons, and trust in our creator, or whatever your beliefs are, trust in a higher power. And so without that trust, because I know, like, again, back to my own journey, if I didn't believe that it wasn't just me on this journey, but there was a higher God is who I believe in, guiding this, I don't know if I would have taken some of the steps I did. I would have been like, I don't know what I'm doing. I can't. But knowing that so much of what I do in my life right now is spirit-led, spirit-driven, guided, so, and that requires a yielding, and it's about that. It's about knowing that, but also trusting in my own agency and authority. Like you said before, sometimes people can get into this obedience, let's follow the rules, let's follow the blueprint, not even realizing that all of that is within, like, your customized blueprint is in you. And why would you want to follow a template that was probably not made or designed to make you thrive? So when we come to that place in our lives, our understanding, our self-awareness, which is another tenet of evolved leadership, is our level of self-awareness. When we come to that place of self-awareness where we know we have the authority and the agency to make and trust our choices, game changing.
Wow. It is game changing. It is. And I'm literally, as you're talking about trust, I think about that because it comes up again and again in conversations I have with leaders. That self-trust, that self-trust. If from your experience as a coach, I'm just curious, where do people stumble when it comes to trust the most? Especially spiritual people, spirit-led people, as you described. So we can put our trust in a higher power. But what about when it comes to us?
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
And that's something I feel so strong about, because I am not about, well, God will take care of it. God will take care of it, and right. And we don't just go like, okay, I'll just sit here and wait for the miracle or whatever. We have to take active steps, right? So that self-trust. So one of the biggest sabotage to that self-trust, and what we probably don't want to get to right now, is that imposter syndrome.
Yes, that's the word. It was coming
so many women. I don't know what the stats are. I've not looked at it before, but it's very high.
It is.
And here's the gotcha about it. And I say this to people I coach. I say it when I speak. The higher you're going, the more elevated, the more visibility, the greater the influence you have. That imposter can be more, could be louder, could be stronger, because that's when it comes into play. When we're trying to level up and evolve, that imposter starts to go, wait a minute, who are you? Who do you think you are? What are you doing?
Yes.
That voice, that critic that has been formed from us from way back when, knowing and recognizing that voice versus our own inner wisdom is part of the evolving into the leader you're meant to be. Because without that recognition and that self-awareness of, my imposter is talking right now, and that what it's saying is not true, you will be derailed by the narratives the imposter is telling you about your abilities and your competencies and your capacities. There I go, doing that thing.
We love it.
Because you wouldn't believe that you are able to do them. So part of self-awareness is the work on silencing the voice of that inner critic or imposter, so that you can then allow the inner wisdom that is within all of us to ring louder and clearer. I would love your thoughts on that.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So a book is coming to mind that I've been listening to by my favorite neuroanatomist, neuropsychologist,
Mm,
Jill Bolte Taylor, called Whole Brain Living.
mm,
I love her books because she's a neuroanatomist and neuropsychologist or neuroscientist, but she speaks in a way that's super easy to understand. And
mhm,
she breaks the brain into 4 parts, and she gives them character. She gives them personas.
mm.
So each of those characters are designed to help us live in this earth. We come, like you said, the blueprint is there. The blueprint, from my understanding and from Jill's, I would say, is in the brain, and the way it functions, the way it's designed. And the imposter, I'm thinking, comes from that character 3, she calls it, which is the left brain oriented
Yeah,
fear response, the left brain oriented fear emotional brain.
yeah,
And then we have a right brain oriented character 4, which is our present, our anything is possible.
yes, a creative.
That creative, but it's in the moment. It is actually able to assess information. The left brain talks about memory. From my memory, I've never done this before. It speaks from the place of familiar. That's what
Yeah,
I'm afraid right now. The
yeah.
character, I call mine Tracy. She's unhappy about everything. Everything is a problem. Everything is to be just an issue, right? There's nothing
Mm,
positive going on, and she's speaking from experience, from memory, for survival. That's
yeah.
what she's speaking from. She wants to keep me safe. She wants to keep me in that safe space. But the character 4, I haven't quite given her a name yet, but let's just call her Blossom. She's like,
Mm,
based on the present circumstances here, this is actually in alignment with where you said you wanted to go. You are safe. So asking ourselves from moment to moment, am I safe? What are these pieces of me, these characters within me trying to tell me in the moment? Can I have a relationship with them? Can I honor their voices? Can I not try to suppress, ignore? Because when that happens, it just bounces up harder. When you talked
yeah.
about being able to go to the next level, I've talked to a client about this, a couple, where the fight response happens. The fight is right before your breakthrough. It's right before the clarity. And the fight can get even stronger. So I hear
Yeah.
that imposter voice in several different ways: as a fight response, the internal defender, the one that's just looking at from memory and familiarity, saying, no, we can't do this. This is not safe for you.
Right.
And then I think about the spirit-led part, according to neuroscience, from that present awareness, that state that says it's in alignment with your goals, you are safe, and you can take one step at a time forward to evolve, to move and to progress.
Yeah. This whole idea of the imposter. So the imposter, and I want to, we should make this point, and I make it all the time now.
Mm.
The imposter is there. It's trying to protect us.
Protector.
It is trying to protect
Yes,
us based on experiences from the past.
yes,
It is just trying to say, so it sounds negative, it sounds critical, but really what it's doing is trying to protect
yes,
us from failure,
yes.
from hurt, whatever it is.
Mhm.
So once we understand where that imposter is coming from and recognize the voice, and
Yes,
because I give it names to my clients too. Like
yes,
I have my clients say, "What's that name?" I actually don't have my own name. I
yes,
realize I don't have my
yes.
own imposter name, but
It's such a good exercise. Yes.
I know it very well. But I have my clients do that. The naming is awesome. Um,
Yes.
but knowing that that imposter is coming from a place of protection more than anything else allows us to dialogue with it in a more compassionate way.
Dialogue with it.
I
Dialogue
was
with it.
sharing, I actually shared this exact point
Mm.
with Com Team
Mhm.
on their
Yes.
podcast. And I was saying, there's a way to speak to our imposter, which is coming from a place of, I hear you. I understand what you're trying to do now. But you know what? I'm good. I'm actually feeling very courageous right now, and I'm ready for this. So I thank you for wanting to protect me, but I'm going to take this choice. That's
Yes.
a way we can talk to our imposter
Yes.
that is loving, but also coming from our authority of, but I know what I need to do. And I've got my right brain, as you're putting it, Keshawn, with
Yes.
the right brain is giving me the understanding that this is an aligned choice to me, and I can say yes.
Yes. It's so good. It's so good. And you're speaking to, and you mentioned several descriptors that are neurosavvy tenets for neurosavvy based leadership. I call it compassion is one. Compassionate. So to be compassionate towards ourselves first. And another tenet, whenever I go into a training, I typically open up and say, I want this to be a two-way dialogue. I want to learn from you. So when we do that with ourselves, we
Yes.
both have an approach where leadership comes from the inside out.
Yes.
I only want to be led by leaders who have a relationship with self in that way. All their parts of self, the self-awareness, like you said, that comes into play when it comes to being an evolved leader.
Yeah.
You are aware of all parts of you. You're
Right.
aware
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
yes, it's all you. It's all there, according to neuroscience, for your survival and efficiency.
Yeah.
But when we want to get to an evolved state, we want to be compassionate. We want to really hone in on what our areas of competence are and stand in that, you say, agency and authority of our competence that we have earned, those skills that have carried us through, that help us to be an authority in the rooms that we find ourselves in. So if we can balance that with compassion, with courage, as you said, because that's there. And I look at courage as the fight's not gone, the fear is still there. I'm just aware of it and moving with it, as opposed to, once again, ignoring, suppressing, not acknowledging it, not being with it.
Yeah. So I think courage is one of the other tenets of evolved leadership, because so much of leadership requires one to make choices where you don't have all the information, you don't have all the data, things are going, there's all kinds of moving parts. And so I see courage as, there are a couple ways I see courage. One of them is that, like, being able to say, wow, I don't know all the things, but I'm going to trust my knowing and what my people are saying to me, and I'm going to go with this choice. That's one act of courage. Another way to showcase courage is to challenge status quo. And that is something that I don't know, I didn't even know this was a part of who I am, but I call myself a quiet disruptor. It's coming out more and more with these past couple of years. But part of being that quiet disruptors, and I see disruptors as a very positive thing, not a negative thing.
Me too, as same.
Because it's like reimagining, reconfiguring, repurposing what's been there from a way back when, and saying to yourself, is this still working? Is this what we really need? What's another way to do this? What's a better way to do this? I have maximizing my top number 2 strengths. I was always thinking about, without even realizing it, how can I make this better?
Yeah.
Not from my
that's evolution. That's evolving.
Not from my ego place either, right? From a place of, like, excellence, from a place of, let's make everybody succeed, let's make everybody thrive well, let's make, back to that whole oh god, we can't even have time to get into the whole idea of regenerative leadership, which I thought we would get to today, because that's, I think, it's all about evolved leadership. But that idea of, we can challenge and the way things have done, and still, and because there's so much ands around here, and have a mindset of inclusivity, see the whole thing as an ecosystem, like the regenerative farming does. It's an ecosystem you create as with an organization, a company, a business, a firm. We are creating ecosystems, and we want those ecosystems to be self-generating, to be regenerative, to be thriving, to foster the best of every aspect that is within that ecosystem. And I just get lit up by this idea, Keshawn, that's new to me, is, this idea of regenerative leadership. And tying it back to what the regenerative farming is like. And just to know that when you do farming that way, the flourishing that happens with the plants and the vegetables and the fruit and the flowers, and that same principle can be applied in our businesses, in our companies, in our organizations. DEI, it takes DEI and all that to a whole other level.
An evolved level. That is what it is. When I think of evolution, is to reimagine, as you said, reframe, rethink, to improve for all. What's the win-win? Because it is in alignment with an abundance versus a scarce universe, a scarce set of resources where there's one pie and we all get a piece. And once that pie is gone, there's no more. That
Right.
is the realm of devolved leadership, I would
Right.
say.
Right. The
As
crabs in the barrel mentality.
Yes, right. And so that's something, and that's the survival orientation. And so I just tie it back to we already have this within us. The way our brain is designed, there are different parts of the brain. There is the lower brain, the midbrain, and the prefrontal cortex, our highest executive functioning brain. And so often we don't spend a lot of time there. We just don't.
Mm,
That is the place where we can act and speak and connect from an evolved leadership stance. That's where most of our empathy receptors are. That's
mm,
where we have our visioning and our motivation comes a lot from that space of our
mm,
brain. And I think we're mostly taught how to act from our emotions, or just our behavior, our trained behaviors, and from habits, from things that we've learned and seen other people do. To evolve, sometimes you have to step out as an individual, as the only, as a trailblazer, and
yes.
pave the way for others. And then you have to find other trailblazers along the journey with you to do that within community so that you can bolster that courage that is so needed to get to the next level for yourself.
I just love everything you just said. And for some reason, I'm seeing a delay on my side and I'm not sure where it's coming. You seeing that too?
No, you seem fine.
I keep freezing with my stuff. I'm like, okay. I love everything you just said. That trailblazers is it's one of my words, right? Like,
Love it.
love this idea of blazing trails, but we don't have to blaze the trails alone. Like,
Right.
and the idea that sometimes we have to step outside of what's known, what's already been done, what's comfortable to blaze that whole new trail that's uncertain, that's not paved yet, that's rugged, that's rocky and obstacles in the path, but we're the ones that are slowly, bit by bit, step by step, with others,
With
not alone,
yes,
with others, blazing a whole new trail that is likely, probably better.
absolutely.
Because that's the whole point of a new way. It's usually better than what's existed before.
Yes. I really want to ground this
Oh,
conversation in that part of evolved leadership. We want better than what exists now and what is to come, or what we had before. We
yeah.
want a better experience. We want a holistic experience. We want it to be regenerative. We want it to be compassionate, connected.
Yes.
When you say alone, that word came up a couple of times, and I recently heard a speaker describe alone as all one. We're all one. So once
Mm,
again, tied to that collectiveness of an evolved leadership perspective, where there's a win for me, there's a win for you. It's better for all. As we work towards that goal, as we experience and savor that goal, once we reach,
yeah.
right? Evolved leaders savor their accomplishments. They savor their wins. They savor
Yeah.
the enjoyment of all who are experiencing what was worked so hard towards.
Yeah. Oh, and you so if you don't know, Keshawn and I did a whole 4-part series on savoring,
So
which is
good.
why she brought that in, and we
I
have used the
reflect on
word
it often.
recently. But it's the savor word we love, and we talked about how part of being growing and self-awareness and being an evolved leader is knowing that you can savor and take time to pause and honor and sometimes reclaim all the things that you have laid out and built and created and the fruit of your labor, to take the time to celebrate them, because that's what keeps us going. When things get rough, we remember the journey, remember the wins, remember the achievement, not from the achievement part, but from the look at what the seeds I've sown, look where they have gone. And when we can remember that in the hard times, that gives us fuel to keep going and pushing through. And so we all need that. And oh gosh, the time is almost here, but I guess if we had to close this idea of evolved leadership, so we've talked about trust, we've talked about courage, we've talked about self-awareness, we've talked about, you didn't say empathy and compassion, we've
Yeah.
talked about inclusivity.
Hmm.
All those are aspects and or tenets or pillars of what Keshawn and I believe is the evolved leadership that is needed in the times we are in today. And I have this sentence I keep saying, and I'll keep saying it till I don't know when. The world right now is calling for a different type of leader. And I believe
Yeah.
the little bits we have touched on in this 30 minutes, all those tenets are what is being called for all leadership. And if we can truly embrace these ideas and embody them and express them and implement them in the way we manage, we lead, we be as senior executives, business owners, founders, what all of it. Wow.
Yeah.
What would we be what I like our minds will be blown.
Yes. It's the possibilities are there. People are already in it. There are evolved leaders already in this work who are see the fruits. We experience the enjoyment and fruits of their labor, of their courageousness, of their willingness to step forward and evolve and to continue to evolve, to not stagnate.
Right. There's no plateauing.
No.
We can so we believe in pausing.
Yes.
And we pause, we integrate, we reflect, we have self-reflection. All that is all part of it. But there's no plateauing in terms of, well, I'm here and it's good and I'll just keep staying here. A lot of people get to that point where maybe whether it's exhaustion, whether it's tiredness, whether it's whatever, but we have to be fueling ourselves and practicing good self-care and all of it to be able to keep on building in a healthy way and growing and evolving, because this is a journey. It's a marathon, not a sprint. None of us get there wherever there is, but we keep evolving closer to the there.
Yes. And there are milestones along the way that I'm so glad that you mentioned the need to pause and to celebrate. We have to do that. And I'm curious, Natalie, if you were to have like 1 to 2 practical steps of where to start, if someone wants to step into a more evolved leadership journey practically, what's something that a person could do today to feel like, okay, I get the concept and I want to keep this going. I want to keep this going.
Wow. Gosh, practical. I mean, so what I think is practical, you might think is not, but it is practical. And I think what we were talking about, we didn't even mention confidence, which is a big part of this, but the flip side of the imposter syndrome is confidence, right? So when we have full confidence, the imposter doesn't get airtime. And so practically, it's about the self-awareness. I feel like working on with a coach, a therapist, a guide, a mentor who can help you hear the imposter or the derailer, the saboteur to your success, so that you can now recognize that voice and learn how to tune into something I so wholeheartedly believe in each of us has, is inner wisdom that helps us make more aligned choices, aligned to our values, aligned to our aspirations, aligned to who we are. And when we recognize the difference in that choice versus the choice that comes from the should, the imposter, the criticism, that creates room for us to have a new pathway and a new trajectory that is built from our agency, authority, awareness, confidence. And that's the foundation. So I feel like practical step is work on yourself. That's the practical.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So my practical step was about, self-awareness as well. So I'm like, that's going to be mine. I believe that self-aware leaders are the best leaders. And it can start with taking a self-awareness type of assessment. I always recommend the SCARF model assessment, understanding that from a neuroscience perspective, how you tick, how you're wired, what are your primary ways of feeling rewarded. That's really interesting to know. And your primary ways of when you feel threatened and distressed.
Yeah.
The SCARF model assessment will provide that. I just recently took this Clifton Strengths Finders assessment and shared my results with Natalie. So having an accountability partner. So once you do, those are 2 different self-awareness assessments you can begin with to get to know yourself, because evolved leadership starts and stays from the inside out. It's always, an evolution, it's cyclical, and learning about yourself and having someone hold you accountable and call those things out in you. It's so important. That's a place to start, a practical place to start.
I think we're on the same page with that. And I have nothing more to say other than, wow, we had 35 minutes as usual. We're a little over.
Yes, so good.
There's so much more Keshawn and I can go into with this, and we will probably think about ways we can share more knowledge, go deeper with any one of those things that we mentioned today. But we're so happy for all of you who joined us live. And if you listen to the recording, we welcome you We welcome you to come and hear us every 2 weeks on Tuesdays at 1 on LinkedIn and YouTube, streaming this new leadership playbook series.
Yes, also on Facebook, and our next streaming conversation will be on June 6th. I just put links in the chat to Natalie's book,
Well, thank you.
The Shine Girl, and up to my Neuro Savvy membership subscription service, where you can tap in at different levels to have this kind of information that was shared today to help you evolve in your leadership, to help you feel supported within community. Like we said, so you can take those courageous steps to become the leader that you already are.
Yeah.
You want to see and want to be.
Amen. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Until next time. Bye-bye.